Think.
I think I got this.
So I finally got around to playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I was blown away by how much fun it is. The world is absolutely gorgeous, exploring it is a real treat. Combat is super engaging.
Let's finish this.
Switching between characters pulling off these awesome combos makes every fight exciting. The story is captivating too. Seeing these familiar characters again with some new twists is just fantastic. They really captured the magic of the original while adding their own spin, which is really cool. Even the side quests are enjoyable. They actually add to the world and the story instead of just being boring filler. Now, it's not perfect, of course. I did have a couple of minor issues. The camera can be a little wonky sometimes, especially in close quarters, and I did run into a few little glitches here and there. Plus, some of the dialogue can be a bit cheesy at times. But honestly, even with those small problems, I thoroughly enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's a fantastic game, and I would definitely recommend it to any fan of RPGs or anyone just looking for a really fun adventure.
Bring it!
I played Ghost of Tsushima a while back now, and it still stands out as one of the most beautiful open-world games I've ever experienced. Exploring the island of Tsushima is breathtaking. The scenery is absolutely gorgeous, and the way the wind blows through the grass and trees is just mesmerizing. The combat is really satisfying too. Learning different stances and mastering the katana feels great. The story is compelling and the characters are well developed. I really felt invested in Jin's journey. It's not perfect though. Some of the side quests can be a bit repetitive, and the stealth mechanics aren't always the best. Also, while the world is beautiful, some areas can feel a little empty, but even with those small issues, this game is amazing. If you're looking for a beautiful open-world game with great combat and a compelling story, you should definitely give it a try. Elden Ring is a massive and challenging game that I've sunk countless hours into exploring. The open world is absolutely incredible. There's so much to discover, and every corner feels like it holds a secret. The combat is tough, but rewarding. Finally beating a boss after trying again and again is such a great feeling. Building your character and finding new weapons and armor is really fun too, and there are tons of options to choose from. It's definitely not easy though. This game is hard, like really hard, and it can be frustrating at times. Also, the story is a bit cryptic and you have to piece it together yourself, which some people might not like. But even with the difficulty and the somewhat vague story, I absolutely love this game. If you're looking for a challenging and rewarding open-world experience, you should definitely give it a try.
Help's on the way, Erend.
So I finally got around to playing Horizon Forbidden West, and I was completely blown away. The world is absolutely stunning, so beautiful and detailed. Exploring it was a genuine pleasure. The combat is fantastic too. Fighting those giant machines is so thrilling and satisfying. They've improved on the first game in so many ways. The story is more engaging, the characters are more interesting, and there's just so much more to do. I love learning about the different tribes and uncovering all the secrets of this post-apocalyptic world.
Take you out.
It's not perfect though. Sometimes the climbing can be a little clunky, and I did experience a few minor glitches here and there. Also, while the main story is great, some of the side quests felt a little repetitive. But even with those small issues, this game is incredible. It's a must-play for anyone who enjoys open-world games or just a good action RPG.
Here.
I played No Man's Sky a few years ago when it first came out, and honestly, it was a bit rough, but I decided to give it another go recently, and wow, has it changed. Exploring these vast alien worlds is just incredible. There's so much to see and discover. Flying your spaceship from planet to planet, finding new resources and weird creatures is seriously addictive. They've added so much stuff too, like base building and freighters and all sorts of things to do. It feels like a completely different game, but it's still got some of its old quirks. Sometimes the game can feel a little repetitive, just flying around scanning stuff. And I did run into a couple of little bugs here and there. Even with those small issues though, I'm having a blast with this game. It's a huge game with tons of content, and if you're looking for a chill space exploration game, you should definitely check it out, especially now since it's so much better than it used to be. Baldur's Gate 3 is an absolutely incredible RPG. The level of freedom you have in this game is insane. You can make so many choices that actually impact the story and the world around you. The combat is really deep and strategic, plus there are so many different classes and abilities to experiment with. And the characters are fantastic. I got really invested in their stories and their relationships. Exploring the Forgotten Realms is a real treat too. There's so much to discover. It's a huge game though, so it can be a little overwhelming at times, and I did run into a few minor bugs. Also, the graphics aren't always the most cutting edge. But even with those small issues, this is still easily one of the top 5 games from the last 5 years. If you're a fan of RPGs or just love games with deep stories and lots of choices, you absolutely have to play it. Red Dead Redemption 2 remains one of the most immersive and engaging open-world experiences I've ever had. The world is just incredible, so detailed and alive, and exploring it feels like a real adventure. The story is fantastic too, with well-developed characters and a really compelling narrative. I got completely lost in Arthur Morgan's journey, and I cared about what happened to him and the rest of the gang. It's a very long game though, so it can take a while to finish, and some of the missions can feel a bit repetitive. Also, the online mode wasn't as engaging as I hoped, but even with those small issues, this game is a masterpiece. If you're looking for a truly immersive and unforgettable open-world game, you absolutely have to play it.
Fiskmen have fled through the building. Eliminate them.
So I finally got my hands on Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and let me tell you, this game is amazing. Swinging through New York City feels so good. It's smooth and fast and just so much fun. The combat is even better than before, with new moves and gadgets that make every fight exciting. Playing as both Peter and Miles is really cool too. They both have their own unique abilities and storylines. The story itself is really engaging with some great moments and some surprising twists.
Is that a Higgs field? That's actually really cool.
It's not perfect though. I did notice a few small graphical glitches here and there, and sometimes the open world can feel a little overwhelming with so much to do. Also, while the story is great, some of the side missions are a bit repetitive. But honestly, even with those little issues, this game is fantastic. If you're a Spider-Man fan or just love superhero games, you absolutely have to play it. I played The Witcher 3 a few years back, and even now, it's easily one of the best open-world games I've ever touched. The world is just massive and gorgeous. I mean, you can literally get lost for hours just exploring and discovering hidden little spots. And the side quests are actually really well done. They're not just boring fetch quests, which is a breath of fresh air. Combat takes a bit to get used to. It can be a little clunky at first, but once you figure it out, it's actually pretty satisfying. But the real star of the show is the story. It's so well written, and the characters are so well developed, you actually feel like you know them. And with the recent next-gen patch, it looks even better now. The visuals are sharper, and the performance is smoother, making the whole experience even more immersive. Overall, this game is a masterpiece. It's definitely a must-play, and I can totally see myself going back to it again someday. I played Zelda Breath of the Wild a while back now, and it still remains one of my absolute favorite open-world games. Exploring Hyrule is just magical. There's so much to discover, and every corner feels like it holds a secret. The freedom you have in this game is amazing. You can climb almost anything and approach challenges in so many different ways. The combat is fun too, and learning all the different techniques is really satisfying. It's not perfect though. The story is a little thin and some of the shrines can be a bit repetitive. Also, the weapon durability system can be a little annoying, but even with those small issues, this game is a masterpiece. If you haven't played it yet, you absolutely should, especially if you love open-world games or just a good adventure.